Pow! Hey gang, this is Simba and welcome back to the Lions Den Crypto. Now today we're seeing some red, but I believe this is only a stop at the gas station as we come and collect some more rocket fuel for what I believe is going to be the biggest bull run that we have ever seen. Right, as you look at the crypto bubble for the day, there's a lot of there's a lot of red tokens. Right, a lot of these tokens are red. There's some green, just like HNT and Hype, which I love very much. If you've been following me, you know how bullish I am on hype, right? Staying hype for hype. And Aave that we talked about yesterday is also green, but a majority of the top 100 tokens are in the red. But if we take a look at the weekly, there's a lot of green, right? We can't just go straight up. The rocket ship needs to refuel here and there, so we're going to see some red days. But if you kind of expand out, if you look at the monthly and the weekly, we've really made some incredible gains from a lot of these tokens, with virtual going up 230% for the month, Pengu 197, right, with 167, Sui 80%, Pepe 90%. So there's still a lot of green for the month, right? For the week, we're still in the green, but today we're seeing some red. But this is, for me, I believe this is just a stop at the gas station, right, just to collect some more rocket fuel. Now let's jump into the big daddy Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is what really leads the market. Now taking a look at the daily, we're starting to experience this pause in the surge, in the momentum, right? Gas station, this is what I like to call it, gas station. But we're starting to form a base, right? We're forming a base at this level, which is really nice, right? And we can either break out to the upside or the downside, right? And even if we do break down to the downside, I think we're still bullish, right? We are still bullish. Now we might possibly scale down to, and retest that major support at that 91, 92K price point for BTC. And this is not something to be afraid of, right? If we do, this is going to be huge. This is just going to create more momentum to go to the upside. So I'm still bullish. But if you look at the lower time frames, right, they might be momentarily pain, but or otherwise we just might continue. All I know is once we break that all-time high, right, that BTC all-time high, we're definitely going to skyrocket, right? I'm still in for this to be the biggest bull market that we have ever seen, as institutions really start to come in, as regulations are very pro crypto at the moment. Right, now let's jump into some of the major news that's really happening and driving the market. Right now, taking a look, right, Coinbase. This one was this was yeah, this was some with some crazy news, but this is something that people have been having a lot of issues with, right? And it's finally coming to fruition, and it's really forcing Coinbase to do something about it. But Coinbase refuses a $20 million ransom demand over stolen data by some rogue employees, right? So I always get Coinbase is one of the exchanges that I probably use the most, right? Especially if you're situated in the U.S., and always getting these text messages, all these things, right? Just trying to steal your data and access your account. But Coinbase refused a $20 million ransom, and instead of offering the same amount as a bounty, for leads to arrest and conviction of the hackers, right? So Brian Armstrong came out and said, you know what? Forget all that. Forget all that. We don't talk to terrorists, right? Instead of us giving you that $20 million, we're actually going to put a bounty on your head, for anybody that really leads to the conviction of these scammers, these villains. So with that, just a little bit more detail, less than 1% of users were impacted by the breach. So it's still just 1%. It's not a major portion of their customers, but 1% is still 1%. Right, now the security upgrade that they want to implement is to include stricter ID checks, scam alerts, and a new U.S. support hub, and active cooperation with law enforcement. So a lot of this support, a lot of these companies really use offshore support. It's a lot cheaper, right? As a business, it's a lot cheaper, but there's also some bribes, some bribery, and things that can happen on that back end. I hope they start to bring their support to the U.S. over here, and it's good, right? More civilians in the U.S. That's more jobs over here. But let's take a listen to Brian Armstrong and his strong message that he had, due to this incident. because I like it. Brian Armstrong is one of the best CEOs out there that I believe, and his last name definitely checks out. But let's take a listen.
Hey everyone, I want to make you aware of a disturbing email that we received recently at Coinbase. It was a ransom note demanding $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for these attackers not releasing some information they claim to have obtained on our customers. Now, we like to do things transparently here at Coinbase, and so I'm going to respond publicly to these attackers by saying no. We are not going to pay your ransom. In fact, I have a few next steps in mind that I'm going to share at the end of this video. But for the rest of you watching, wondering what happened, we did an investigation here, and these attackers have been approaching our overseas customer support agents, looking for a weak link, someone who would accept a bribe in exchange for sharing some customer information with them. Now, our support tools have limited access to customer information. There was no passwords or private keys or funds accessed as part of this. But customer support agents do have access to personal information like name, date of birth, address, etc. And attackers still want access to this information because it allows them to conduct social engineering attacks where they can call our customers impersonating Coinbase customer support and try to trick them into sending their funds to the attacker. Now, unfortunately, they were able to find a few bad apples. Our systems are designed to mitigate the impact of something like this, so less than 1% of our monthly transacting users had their records accessed, but this is still unacceptable. And I want to tell you what we're doing about it.
Now, I'll let you guys kind of, if you go to Brian Armstrong's Twitter account, you can listen to the full message. But I think you get the gist, right? These hackers, right? They were able to bribe some of the offshore support in order to get access to the customer's data, right? Which due to social engineering. Once you get somebody's phone number, email, address, and all those things, you can really start to do some social engineering, right? So that was it. I liked his message. He came out, to the public and was very straightforward on what the issues that Coinbase had experienced with his ridiculous ransom, right? And he did not negotiate with terrorists, right? In fact, he just turned it around on them and put a bounty on their heads. So this was very, very nice to see. Now, there's some users I thought this was very interesting. There were some users that say that, Coinbase is hacked. The issue is really KYC. So the more KYC, the more at risk the user is, right? Now, these centralized exchanges, they have to take your information, and this is due to regulations as well, right? And you have to give them your address, the last four digits of your social, right? Your government ID, right? But if you have a bad apple in your company that exposes this information to hackers, you put in customers at risk. So this was an interesting take. I really hadn't thought about it as KYC is really the issue, right? But at the same time, this kind of speaks loud on decentralized exchanges. Maybe decentralized exchanges are safer in that aspect that they don't take user information. But very, very interesting take by Jason A. Williams. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a very, very good take. Awesome work. So with that, we'll let that one go. Brian Armstrong, he really lives up to his name, Armstrong. So, man, awesome CEO. Now, another one of the key news, right? I thought this was very interesting to see. I did not expect this at all, but Lyft taps Solana powered B maps for decentralized mapping data. Now, the ride sharing firm began sourcing map data from a Hive Mapper powered platform last year, and as Decrypt had known, but Lyft has confirmed it is sourcing street level mapping data from BMaps, Hive Mapper powered decentralized platform. And this partnership really began in 2024 and supports Lyft's navigation and autonomous vehicle initiative. Lyft is a competitor for Uber. These are the two really ride sharing apps that are dominant, and to start to see them kind of expand into the crypto industry, right, using crypto platforms, I think this is phenomenal to see. Absolutely awesome. And they chose to work with a platform on Solana. So Solana is making a lot of moves, right? A lot of people are building on Solana real world applications, and a lot of these Web 2 companies are starting to integrate some of their solutions. So I thought this was very, very cool to see. Now, I don't know if it did anything to the Lyft price. So let's actually take a look at Lyft, the price itself on the NASDAQ. Let's go take a look at the weekly chart just to see how Lyft has been doing. right? And yeah, Lyft. I mean, Lyft was the stock was launched in about 2019, right? And that was really its all-time high. And it kind of launched during the end of the bull market, when we're looking at Bitcoin or whatnot. But yes, it definitely tanked, right? Just like almost all the assets. But now it's just looks like it has stabilized, really bottomed about $8. Right now it's currently sitting at $16. But if Lyft continues to do its work, um, we might see it at least come back to its all-time highs. Though, man, it's kind of interesting because Tesla is coming out with these cabs, right? Driverless cabs. I wonder how Uber's business and also Lyft's business would do if now you have Tesla cabs just driving around without drivers, right? Maybe they will be forced to buy these autonomous cabs, to actually compete with Tesla, right? Very interesting. But yeah, keep your eyes on Lyft. I wanted to make sure to highlight this because now we're starting to see, these major companies on the stock market, and in Web2 really start to integrate blockchain integrations and platforms as a solution, right? So this was phenomenal. This was pretty cool to see. Right. Yes. So, yeah, keep your eyes on it. Now, another one that this news over here was very, very intriguing because you guys know meme coins have been dominating, especially during the bear market. So much money was made, and Pump That Fund really came out and just stole the scene, right? Stole so much mind share in the crypto market. But Pump That Fund loses its dominance as new meme coin launch pads rise on Solana. So Pump That Fund's market share really plunged from 98%. They had 98% of the market, and they were just dominating, right? This is where all the money was being made in Web3 for such a long time, especially in the bear market, as these altcoins and major tokens were really, really tanking, right? But yeah, they held 98% of the shares, but they have dropped to 57% as platforms like Let's Bank and Believe attract users with new innovative features. Now, meme coin launches on Solana soar with over 200,000 addresses active daily, and what really stood out was Launchcoin, right? Launchcoin, everybody on Twitter and CT has really been talking about Launchcoin for the past week or so, which I think is a very, very innovative right launchpad. And I don't even want to necessarily call it a meme coin launchpad, right? Because what they're doing is a lot more different. They're more attracting Web2 builders or just micro builders, especially as we see people start to build with AI, right? Now anybody who has an idea can essentially just create an application, right? But with Believe, you can showcase your application and kind of what it does, and then you can create a token behind it. Now if people are vibing with your application or what you have built, people are able to invest into it, and that share of those tokens, once it reaches a certain market cap, just like how Pump That Fund has this bonding curve, Believe has a certain cap that you have to reach, and these funds are actually given to the founder to continue building. So I thought this was unique, right? We have seen some big names in Twitter, just like Alex Finn, right, with Creator Buddy launch on Believe, and a couple people who really have some great products launch on Believe, right? So I thought this was phenomenal. But there is some unfortunate news. The founder, who is Ben Pasternak, right? Posted this morning, which I was kind of sad to see, right? And he said the past few days have been wild, and I'm incredibly grateful for the energy behind our vision. We've seen a surge of interest from founders, but we're going to pause on featuring new projects for now to focus on supporting the ones already building. Our priority is making sure they have the tools and resources they need to succeed, believe in something. So it seems like a lot of these tokens that were launched, I believe they ran up at a ridiculous price, but then they all tanked. And this is really the problem that the meme coins have, right? They always start out great, but then they just end up tanking. The degens are there. The degens are there. It's almost like they don't care about the product. They just care about price goes up, right? So this was discouraging to see. I really like their idea and kind of the innovative feature on bringing real builders, right? Instead of catering to these meme coin people that just like fluff. There's nothing behind it other than price go up. And these guys were really trying to bring builders into the blockchain, and they were specifically targeting people in Web2, right? People who are just coding, creating these little mini apps, right? And then potentially getting some funding, the same kind of funding as VC, except this is open for everybody to invest in a builder, right? So phenomenal. I hope they come back, and I hope this platform does well. But yeah, anyways, with that, it was very very interesting to see that look at this pump that fund right now, right? Went from 57% market share, and now you're seeing Believe and Let's Bonk. Let's Bonk now has 20% of share of those meme coin Launchpad, and Believe at 12%. And Believe is just it's a brand new token, right? And they have this, so they're dominating. Even looking at the what's trending on the dex scan is the Launchcoin, right? The Launchcoin is doing phenomenal work and had a ridiculous rise in price. Look at that price; it's absolutely insane, right? Let's take a look at Launch. Let's take a look at Launch at the token itself and how it performed, right? So it just came out. Let's go down to the lower time frame. Yes, so it was launched. There were something else before they changed to what they're currently doing, their business model, right? It was some kind of like social platform, but man, these guys ever since May 9th, they really surged, right? Coming from 0.005 cents, and now they're sitting at 30 cents. It was an absolute. If whoever got the alpha for this, oh my God, you guys have been eating. I wonder how high it will continue to climb, right? If you compare the market cap for some of these major launch pads, this thing can continue, right? Its market cap is currently $324 million, and if it gets to even close, yeah, this I think it's still, it's probably good to kind of wait for it to go down a little bit because it's just gone up so much, right? And there's going to definitely be some profit taking, but in the long term, this might be a buy, right? Or just kind of wait for it to retrace and find a support. This might be a good buy because I do believe, no pun intended. I believe in this in this app more so on their mission to really drive. Builders into the Web3 space, because I'm tired of meme coins, man. I'm tired of meme coins. I want to see some real building, come to the blockchain, at least come back, right? So this was phenomenal to see. Shout out to Believe and and Ben Pasternak on the platform that they have built. It's absolutely phenomenal work, right? And with that, let's continue. JPMorgan settles first tokenized treasury transaction on the public blockchain using Chainlink and Ando Finance. Man, what? Man, institutional money is absolutely coming, right? Of course, they needed to wait for regulations to come before they really start to make some moves. But now we're starting to see some real moves that are being made by major institutions. And JPMorgan Chase is one of the biggest banks globally, right? And they're starting to test these things in real time, to test the blockchain, right? And it's really cool to see them using Chainlink. Chainlink is an awesome blockchain. It's been here so long and it's been tested, right, through time. And Ando Finance is also doing phenomenal. Now, JPMorgan Chase settled its first transaction on a public blockchain this week. The transaction comes roughly 6 years after the financial titan debuted its decentralized platform, JPM Coin. Now, it marks JPMorgan's deepening push into blockchain technology as institutional investors embrace tokenized real world assets. So things are starting to heat up. And things are looking very, very good for institutions to really jump into this space and start to make some noise, right? And once institutions come in, we're not talking about retail money. We're not talking about a couple thousand, a couple $1,000,000. We're talking about billions of dollars and potentially trillions of dollars coming into the industry. So this is as bullish as it can be, right? This is absolutely as bullish as it can be. Now, with that, let's take a look at Chainlink, right, and kind of see how Chainlink is performing. Kind of breaking down the chart, right? Chainlink. There we go. Now Chainlink. Let's start at the weekly. Start at the higher time frame. So Chainlink had a really an incredible rise in 2018. So it has tested the test of time, right? Incredible rise all the way from 15 cents. They debuted at 15, 14 cents, and they rose through that last cycle, topping off really at about 50, 51, $53, right? Kind of retraced during this bear market, and it wasn't even, yeah, retraced, and now we have pushed to one of the major supports, and it's really has rebounded nicely here. So this is looking like a good support that it had, right? Looking at this piece right here, and now we are ready for some more upside. So we're super excited on Chainlink and what it's about to do. Now let's take a look at Ondo as well, to see how Ondo is looking on the charts. There we go. Ondo is a fairly newer compared to Chainlink, right? They're fairly new compared to Chainlink, but also, I mean, most of these charts really look similar, right? Here, let's slap the Fibonacci on it to kind of look at these levels and see where we're sitting at right now. So there we go, right? I know looking at the daily, right, we kind of crossed over these two major moving averages, which is the 20 and the 50 EMA, right? And that 200 EMA is actually, kind of acting as a resistance. But, if we do break over to this major support that's sitting here, I think we're going to see some more upside. Everything is really bullish. Most of these charts really look similar in the sense of, yeah, we're collecting rocket fuel. Right, we're collecting rocket fuel, but Ondo is, having institutions taking a look at Ondo and started utilizing them. And we're talking about major institutions such as a Chase. This is one to keep your eyes on. I think they're going to be a premier platform. So keep your eyes on them. I think they're going to do phenomenal work. Now, one other news that I would kind of like to take a look at before we end it for today is really this post by Bitcoin Magazine Pro. Now, I thought this was very interesting. So Bitcoin whales have been aggressively accumulating BTC recently, with at least 240,000 Bitcoin transferred to wallets with at least 100 Bitcoin. So we're talking about whales, right? We're talking about people, people that follow Michael Saylor 24/7, right? Because it's like their biggest investment ever. But these guys have probably been in the game, or have been, bought Bitcoin and just been invested for such a long time, right? Now, the largest market participants are trying to buy as much Bitcoin as possible, and with that, what do you think is going to happen next? Right? What do you think is going to happen next when you have major whales, people that are heavily invested in Bitcoin and the crypto industry, continue to accumulate more Bitcoin? That just means something massive is going to happen, because these guys know the game. You know what I'm saying? They know the game, and they're ready for some more highs. So with that said, guys, that's all I have for you today. Stay bullish. Again, we might possibly see Bitcoin maybe do some minor retracements, right, to that 91K. I think it's a rare chance, but it might happen, right? Because we do need to collect more rocket fuel, because we've been just almost on a straight line since the beginning of April, right? And then the markets just don't go straight in a straight line, right? They kind of go up, down, up, down, up, down, right? And right now we haven't really seen that happen. So we might possibly retrace. We might do something like this, right? We might do something like this, and then go up, right? And then just break through and continue. But with that said, I think we're looking good. Stay bullish. If you're getting some fears or whatnot, really expand out, right? Instead of looking at the daily, take a look at the weekly. We're looking pretty. We're sitting pretty, right? We are sitting pretty because we're going into hot girl summer. Monthly is looking good as well, right? Monthly is looking good as well. So stay bullish, keep stacking. Don't let all the fun get to you. With that said, guys, much love to everybody. Keep it going. Take care. Bye-bye.